Hello my lovelies, my name is Stephanie Lynette and welcome back to, maybe you're a returning subscriber, and welcome to my channel. And as this video is going up the closest to Valentine's Day, and as I posted a recent video talking about how I have decided to stop dating, I thought I would give you a little bit of a story time about the absolute disaster that was me attempting to date my ex-boyfriend in 2022 to early 2023. So if that interests you, then, stay tuned. If you like this dark femme vampy look that I've got going on, I've got an ombre lip happening. I don't know why I'm enjoying this kind of dark energy vibe. Then please let me know in the comments down below because I need constant validation from strangers. And let's dive into the video. Okay, so a little bit of backstory. This person who I was dating, let's call him Peter because that's his name. I started dating Peter in April 2019, and he was my first boyfriend following on from my very traumatic, very abusive first relationship. So I took a lot of preconceptions into that relationship. Our relationship was long distance. We met online on a trans-specific dating website. And I was 21 and he was 25 when we met. Yeah, he was 25. And we dated. I was based in London, he was based in Manchester. We saw each other every other week and then, however often we could. And in terms of a relationship, the first time round, we broke up several times. We were only together for 6 months. We went to Paris. We celebrated our 6-month anniversary in Paris. We went to Disneyland and things like that. But we had just broken up before our anniversary, and then for our anniversary we were like, this will either be a very triumphant reconciliation or this will be a swan song, a final farewell, a bid adieu, if you will. And so it wasn't a particularly long relationship, certainly not my longest relationship, certainly not his longest relationship. And during the relationship, we struggled a lot with communication. I struggled a lot with projecting my insecurities of my first relationship and recovering from that trauma that I'd never processed that before. And I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'm not afraid to admit it. The reason that the relationship ended was because I was unfaithful and then I instigated the end of the relationship. We had broken up several times during the course of our relationship, and I had been intimate with people during those breaks, and he had been intimate with people during those breaks. But when we were together and we had just got back from Paris, we were in a really, really bad place. And he obviously lived hundreds of miles away and we didn't have great communication. And then I started chatting to this guy that I met in a Comic-Con Facebook group because I'm a giant nerd. And he provided a level of immediacy and emotional fulfillment that my then boyfriend, Peter, did not. So anyway, that's how our relationship ended. The breakup was really messy. We had to send each other our stuff back and forth. And then so we got together in the April, we broke up in the October. And then so Peter moved to London the January after we broke up, and it had been his intention to move to London and surprise me. And that backfired because what I had taken for his complete lack of communication or desire to be anywhere closer to me was him trying to utilize it as a surprise. I would err on the side of moving hundreds of miles to be closer to your partner shouldn't be something that's sprung on you, but that's a different thing. That's a very different thing. So he moved back in the January, and we were seeing each other like off and on when he moved back. I spent the night a couple of times in his disgusting flat that he had in Mornington Crescent, which is in London in the borough of Camden. And that kind of happened back and forth for a little while in 2019, because we first got together in 2019, because we first got together in 2018. Yeah, so 2019. And then I think both of us wanted to try again because we thought that we were right for each other, but we just thought it was the wrong time when we had first met. But he started seeing someone else when he got to London, and I started seeing someone else as well. And the really difficult thing was, because obviously my infidelity had kind of instigated the end of our relationship the first time, I think what was quite difficult was he was then unfaithful to his new partner with me. I'm not saying any of this for, you know, vilification or empathy, just stating facts. Morality is just a condition that mere mortals inflict on other people to try and keep them in line. No, I recognise the things that we both did poorly, and I did feel really sorry for his partner, who he never actually told that he was unfaithful to. So if Rosie ever watches this, I'm really sorry, please should cheated on you while you were together. So that's kind of what happened. And then we stopped seeing each other after he was unfaithful to his then girlfriend, after he stayed the night at my house in 2019. And then in 2020, I had my surgery, which was a really big deal. And from when we stopped seeing each other in 2019 to when I had my surgery in 2020, we kind of had open-ish communication. And then in 2020, after I had had my surgery and I was with my boyfriend at the time, he mentioned kind of getting together and talking, and he was really happy for me and he sent me flowers. And nothing really came of it. I think we both knew that it just wasn't appropriate. He was still with the girl that he was unfaithful to with myself. I was with someone new, and I was adamant that I was gonna make the relationship work. I didn't, plot twist, fun times. So that's kind of the story of Steph and Peter up until 2020. I then realised whilst going through kind of the pandemic that I really regretted my actions towards Peter. We had so much in common. He loved history, I loved history. He had drive, I had drive. We had aspirations to do very similar things. And so I reached out to him several times, too many times. I reached out to him too many times. I'm sure I made him uncomfortable. I know I made his girlfriend uncomfortable. I'm very sorry, Rosie. So anyway, that was happening for the kind of, you know, however long that was happening. And then in 2021, he messaged me and he was like, hi, I want to rehash a few things. I want to get back in touch. And so I responded, and then he decided that he'd made a mistake because he was still with the same woman. And you know, it was just clear from both sides that he and I felt that there was some unresolved kind of, not only unresolved feelings towards the breakup, but that we were quite compatible and that we wanted to try and pursue things again. So anyway, after a long time, and I ended up sending him an email and just saying, you know, I'm really sorry about everything that happened. You know, I've processed everything. I hope you and Rosie find happiness together, like all of these things. You know, I talked about how I missed him and the achievements in my career and how I wish I could share them with him and all of those things. And I kind of didn't get anything back. So I sent that in the December of 2021, that kind of email. And then in the November of 2022, I got an email back from him. And the reason we were emailing is because when we went to Paris, I emailed him a Paris itinerary, and that's how we got each other's emails, which I just thought was funny. So he emailed me, he spoke about how him and Rosie had broken up, how he still hadn't told her about the nights that we spent together, how he missed me and still loved me and all of these things. And I was single at the time, and I had had quite a difficult 2022. And so I said, yeah, sure, why not? Let's go and have a drink. And he came to my flat, which was really weird. I remember seeing him at my door and just being like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, hi. And he just kind of came in and we kind of chatted and we ended up sleeping together, and it was the first time he had slept with me since my surgery. So my body was very different, I had gained weight, I had a vagina, bigger boobs, all of those things. And it felt very affirming. He knew my body but was still exploring. It was, and it happened kind of really organically, I guess. And it happened quite easily, which I think you get a lot with kind of ex-partners. And at this point, it's also important to say that following on from my surgery, I went through a phase of sleeping with exes because I felt really self-conscious about my body post-weight gain, which I still do quite frequently. And I wanted to explore or begin to explore my body in new sexual ways, but I wanted to do it with people who already understood some of like my base level neuroses about my body. So he wasn't the first ex that I had slept with, but anyway, so he came over in the December of 2022 and we decided that we were gonna see each other. And then moving on from there, I think it's really important to mention that we went on some trips and we dated, and then we decided after kind of 3 weeks of dating, we would go away over the Christmas break, take some time, and really kind of think about whether or not we wanted to try moving forwards. And then during that Christmas break of Christmas 2022, I ended up breaking my arm. And I remember calling him. He was in South America at the time, and I called him and I said, before I went to surgery, I was like, oh, I love you. And he couldn't say it back. And to me, that signaled kind of where the relationship was going, and that he still wasn't at a place that he could communicate his affection in the way that I wanted. And so, I came back in the January and we spoke about it, and he decided that he wasn't ready. And then he kind of used these like situational ethics that he calls them, to say that he wasn't ready for a relationship. And then he got into another relationship and and it kind of threw me through a loop. And it's part of the reason why I'm no longer comfortable dating anybody, because I was so hurt by this thing. And we broke up in the February of 2023, and it wasn't until like the August that I started to feel like I was over it. But what's really weird is this person who I had loved for like 5 years, I no longer love them, which is really strange. I feel and a lot of it was replaced with anger and then just replaced with nothingness. And now I'm in a place where I'm happy on my own and I don't need to be dating anyone. And yeah, so I just, I thought it'd be quite funny to go through a story time of me trying to date my ex-boyfriend and it being an absolute disaster, and me realising what a terrible fucking human he is. So Peter, if you're watching this, yeah. I hope you're having a lovely day. I hope you're avoiding transphobia. Happy Valentine's Day. Don't get back with your ex, but feel free to sleep with them. And I will see you next week for another video. Bye. Don't date your ex-boyfriends.